Hi everyone, my name is Sana Yasmin, and today I will be presenting the evolution of freight forwarding, which is just a brief history of the evolution that freight forwarding has gone through in the past couple centuries and how it has transformed us and the world. Just a quick disclaimer though, I am suffering from really terrible allergies and I really apologize if I cough in between these slides. Real quick, I added an outline as my very first slide. We'll be talking about what exactly freight forwarding is, the history behind it, the transformation that took place thanks to the Industrial Revolution and demand for freight forwarding, what is currently happening in the freight forwarding industry, and what we can expect from it in the future, as well as concluding that with a couple of my own personal thoughts. Now, first of all, at its core, the role of a freight forwarder in today's modern society is quite simple, however, very important. These are the hardworking men and women who make transportation of goods possible all over the world. Anytime that you have a product that is successfully moved from the manufacturer into the marketplace or from the producer's hands into the hands of a customer, you have a freight forwarder to thank for that. Freight forwarders are not only responsible for physically moving goods from one place to another, they can also be more logistics based. They contract with carriers or even multiple carriers to be able to arrange various shipping modes that can be, for example, steamships, trucks, trains, airplanes, etc. A lot of times, multiple modes of transportation are also used for a single shipment, and freight forwarders help keep everybody sane throughout that process. Now, taking a look into our earliest days, archaeologists have found evidence of freight forwarding existing in our Mesopotamian days, which is 5,000 years prior to today. Now, if you compared the first freight forwarder in existence to one from today, you'll see that their role is essentially the same. Items are being shipped all over the world, and they're still a big part of making it happen. Nearly everything that is around the world today, technology has changed. Sorry, let me repeat that. Nearly everything around today's freight forwarders has changed dramatically. However, the key movement and assistance of movement of merchandise is the one thing that has remained the same. Pen and pencil has been replaced with printed press, which has now been changed to digital technology. So, next, history. Many people don't realize that the history of freight forwarders is a very long one, and it doesn't just date back a few decades, it actually dates back centuries. One of the earliest examples of a freight forwarding business is Thomas Meadows and Company Limited in London, UK, and it was founded in 1836 and is considered one of the earliest freight forwarders in the world. Back in this era, the role of freight forwarder was pretty simple compared to today's standards. They arranged for carriages to help transport items by contracting with the different carriers in the area. They also offered advice on documentation and took certain challenges into consideration, such as customs regulations, etc. Also, in the 1800s, it has been archaeologists have found that innkeepers were also one of the very first freight forwarders because they were responsible for holding and re-forwarding personal items that hotel guests would bring with them. So through this history, freight forwarding has evolved into a more business-to-business type trade, especially between countries in Europe. And that is what has become most popular, and innkeepers typically are not referred to as freight forwarders anymore. Now, for the transformation that happened, the arrival of new transportation technology like trains and steamships has created a lot more demands starting the 1970s, because now we had more reliability for trade between Europe and North America almost overnight, which gave birth to a booming international shipping industry. Flash forward to today, what was once a small hometown affair has now transformed into one of the biggest industries on the planet. The U.S. Department of Transportation Bureau, excuse me, the U.S. Department of Transportation's Bureau of Transportation Statistics has estimated that 55 million tons of freight valued at almost $50 billion was moved across the U.S. transportation system each day in 2013. The value of freight being moved is expected to rise from its high of $882 per ton in 2007 to $1377 per ton by 2040. And this is one of the trends that does not show any signs of slowing down in the near future. And to say that freight forwarders play an important role in the economy of all the major countries in the world is a huge understatement. Now, in the 21st century and beyond, utilizing technology and automation for instantaneous accessibility seems to be the way that we have conducted freight forwarding. Computers don't necessarily make it easier for us to process paperwork, but they do make it easier to keep track of it all. Over the years, filled cabinets are now replaced with hard drives, which gives way to software-based logistics solutions, which allows for even smaller freight forwarding companies to be able to compete with the larger freight forwarding companies. So technology has pretty much came along and changed the game for all and for the better. The importance of new innovation and digital tools due to the rise of internet and the cloud has been a huge turning point for the freight forwarding industry. A new wave of advancement came across the freight forwarding process when the cloud was discovered, especially because freight forwarders essentially became transportation management systems service providers, where mobile phones made it easier to work on the go. And that was very valuable in an industry that operates on an international platform. And the cloud made it easier to have documents anywhere, whenever you needed them, whatever you needed, no exceptions. And this led to somewhat of a Expedia for shipping containers, because now we were able to provide clients with a instantaneous quote for freight forwarders based on what they wanted transported, what their excuse me. Customers could go online, outline exactly what they need, and create quote requests for shipments in minutes. Now, in conclusion, as you can see, freight forwarding has evolved over time in several fascinating and important ways. And however, the one thing that hasn't changed is that the core of what they do remains the same. And it's helping to move something from point A to point B. Now, I personally feel as if one of the key factors to keep an ongoing trend of growth in the freight forwarding industry would be for companies to be required to collaborate for innovative solutions and be able to sort of defeat the other company through their technological innovations in order to survive. And in the future, I really see freight forwarding being able to work with other big data prediction companies to be able to make the process of freight forwarding a lot more efficient. And I feel as if information security and system reliability is what will keep smaller freight forwarding companies, what will give the smaller freight forwarding companies their shot at survival versus the large companies that don't allow for the security and reliability as a smaller company. But this is my presentation. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed it.